That's what they want.
Find something safe to play with, please.
What?
No.
Find something safe to play with.
No.
The internet is spiraling after Lil Wayne leaked a private Birdman video that was never supposed to see daylight, and he's not stopping there. Wayne is now warning that even more explosive footage could drop next. What began as a father-son mentorship has ruptured, and the world is holding its breath for Birdman's response. The beginning. Brian Williams, aka Birdman, was 14 years old with $1 million. In New Orleans, that meant one thing. Money did not come from a record label. It did not come from a trust fund. It came from the streets. Before Cash Money Records existed, before rap became his public identity, Birdman's name carried weight in a city where weight meant survival.
You know who Baby was, and he's a millionaire from the streets. And in New Orleans, you know, that name way before there was rap, before there was a Cash Money Records, that name held weight. You know, my mama went to school with him. My mama was so scared for me to even be involved with him. Wow. You know what I mean? All she would say was like, boy, that boy was 14 with $1 million. And she was scared of him.
Lil Wayne's mother went to school with Birdman. She watched a teenager accumulate wealth that grown men struggled to imagine. When her son came home talking about signing with Cash Money Records, she was terrified. Her fear was not irrational. She understood what a 14-year-old millionaire in New Orleans had to do to become a 14-year-old millionaire in New Orleans. Birdman and his brother Slim founded Cash Money Records in 1991. The label operated out of New Orleans, building a roster of local talent while navigating the complexities of the southern rap scene. Their business model was simple: sign artists young, control their output, and retain ownership of everything. The approach generated criticism from the beginning, but it also generated results. Cash Money became one of the most successful independent labels in hip-hop history before signing a distribution deal with Universal Music Group in 1998 worth an estimated $30 million. The Universal deal transformed Cash Money from a regional operation into a national force. It also established the financial structure that would later become the source of nearly every controversy attached to Birdman's name. Under the agreement, Cash Money retained ownership of its masters, while Universal handled distribution. This meant Birdman and Slim controlled the money. They decided who got paid, when they got paid, and how much they got paid. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. entered this ecosystem around 1993. He was approximately 9 years old when he met Birdman through another Cash Money artist named Lil Slim. The details of their first meeting vary depending on who tells the story, but the outcome is consistent across all accounts. Birdman recognized something in the child and decided to invest in him. The investment was total. Birdman did not simply sign Wayne to a recording contract, he absorbed him into his life. Wayne's biological father had abandoned the family when Wayne was a toddler, leaving a void that Birdman filled with deliberate precision. He became father, mentor, manager, and boss simultaneously. The lines between these roles blurred until they became indistinguishable. Wayne joined Cash Money as its youngest artist. He was placed in groups designed to develop his skills and build his audience. The BGs came first, pairing Wayne with another young artist named BG, Lil Doogie at the time. The Hot Boys followed, expanding the roster to include Juvenile and Turk. These groups served as training grounds, allowing Wayne to learn the mechanics of recording, performing, and navigating the music industry while still a child. The strategy worked. By the time Wayne was ready for a solo career, he had already developed the technical skills and industry knowledge that would define his artistic output. His debut solo album, Thaw Block Is Hot, dropped in 1999 when Wayne was 17. It sold over 1 million copies. The success validated Birdman's investment and cemented their partnership.
I ain't never took from them. I always blessed them.
But why niggas keep saying that?
No,
You know what I'm saying? Why niggas keep saying that, bro? Like everybody, producer, all these folks be like, man, you don't pay, bro.
Right, bro. I had some incidents early on.
Yeah.
Because I was really young in it. I ain't know no better.
Birdman's admission is revealing. He acknowledges incidents early on when he was really young in this and ain't know no better. The statement functions as both defense and confession. He was young, he made mistakes, but the mistakes involved other people's money, other people's livelihoods, other people's trust.
But every problem I had, I cleared it up.
Oh, you saying any that ever felt like they got fucked
I
over?
cleared it up.
Yeah.
I paid any that got, you heard me? Because I was young, but remember, I'm telling you, I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
So a lot of it happened early on. I just ain't know. But any that had any problem from my son on down, and I gave him 50 million, I cleared it up, brother. Because I ain't want my name like that, especially with Wayne. That's like I'm nothing without this dude. Like, that I didn't want, but it happened, but I aired that it out. But
The claim that he cleared up every problem contradicts decades of lawsuits, public accusations, and artist departures from Cash Money. But the more significant admission comes at the end. I'm nothing without this dude. Birdman built an empire, but the empire's foundation was Lil Wayne. Without Wayne's talent, his work ethic, his willingness to record prolifically and tour relentlessly, Cash Money might have remained a regional label with regional success. Wayne made Birdman a mogul. The question that would later tear them apart was whether Birdman adequately compensated Wayne for that transformation. The 2000s represented the peak of their partnership. Wayne's Thaw Carter series redefined what commercial hip-hop could achieve. Thaw Carter 3 dropped in 2008 and sold over 1 million copies in its first week, the last hip-hop album to reach that milestone. The success attracted more talent to Cash Money and its subsidiary, Young Money Entertainment. Drake signed in 2009. Nicki Minaj followed. The label generated billions in revenue. Throughout this period, Birdman and Wayne maintained their father-son dynamic publicly. They released the collaborative album Like Father, Like Son in 2006. They appeared together in interviews, at award shows, at clubs. They kissed on the lips in photographs that would later become evidence in debates about the nature of their relationship. The kissing became a focal point for critics and commentators attempting to understand or undermine the Birdman-Wayne bond. A leaked 2006 photo showing them kissing circulated widely, sparking speculation about inappropriate dynamics given the age difference. Birdman addressed the controversy directly, framing it as cultural rather than sexual.
You and Wayne had like a kiss thing going on.
facts. I know you got a child. You probably kiss him. You probably got a son and you kiss him.
Yeah.
You heard me? I always looked at Wayne as my son, and I always looked at it like, because I was in the streets, and I thought this might be the last time they ever see me. That's where that started from, and I always today look at Wayne as my child. I was his father when he didn't have a father, since he was 9 years old.
Right.
And I love him like my own, and I give my life for him, and I'll take a life for him.
The explanation that street life made every goodbye potentially final, that the kiss represented a father's love for a son he might never see again, resonated with some and rang hollow for others. The debate continues to this day, fueled by leaked footage and viral clips that reframe old images through new accusations. The allegations. The documentary The Carter premiered in 2009 and offered an intimate portrait of Lil Wayne at the height of his powers. It also contained a revelation that would haunt discussions of his relationship with Birdman for years to come. Wayne openly discussed losing his virginity at age 11 in a setting involving older men, including Birdman. In the film, Wayne recounted being in a room with adults when someone prompted a sexual encounter with a girl around age 14. He described what happened as but added that he loved it and never pursued charges. Others in the room laughed during the retelling. Wayne later confirmed the story on Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2009, acknowledging it had a negative impact on him emotionally. The incident has been framed by commentators as child abuse or grooming, with Birdman's presence in the room highlighting concerns about exposing minors to adult scenarios. Wayne signed off on the documentary's release, but reportedly had second thoughts later about including the revelation. The footage remains one of the most cited examples in arguments about the nature of Birdman's mentorship. Other unconfirmed claims suggest Birdman introduced young Wayne to elements like drugs, guns, and street life as part of his development. Stories from former associates allege Birdman handed Wayne a gun at a young age to handle business and exposed him to the more dangerous aspects of the rap industry prematurely. These narratives tie into Cash Money's history of artist disputes and have been discussed extensively during periods of conflict between Wayne and his former mentor. On X, the post discussed Birdman's alleged grooming of Lil Wayne and attempts to replace him, with embedded video footage illustrating the claims. The post gained traction amid broader conversations about exploitation in the music industry. The grooming allegations intersect with financial disputes that would later become the centerpiece of legal action. Critics argue that Birdman's early influence over Wayne, establishing himself as a father figure, controlling Wayne's access to money and opportunity, shaping his understanding of business relationships, created conditions for exploitation. Defenders counter that Birdman provided Wayne with resources, guidance, and platforms that a child from New Orleans could not have accessed otherwise.
Did they make any mistakes back then?
Talking about my artist?
Talking about Baby.
Talking about Baby and Slim. When now, if you were Lil Wayne's
gotcha,
manager, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you were, did you see any missteps now that you look back?
You know what I be telling my dude? I be like, man, now that I'm in charge and of the things I'm in charge of, I kind of look at it like it was impossible to do what they did for just two guys. You know what I mean? Like, man, I deal with, man, what? Man, I be about to
bite somebody's head off behind a hotel room.
Wayne's diplomatic assessment that managing everything was impossible for just two guys offers measured criticism without direct accusation. The subtext acknowledges mistakes while attributing them to structural limitations rather than malicious intent, but the leaked footage and viral content circulating in 2025 and 2026 suggests others are less willing to extend that grace. The allegations against Birdman extend beyond his relationship with Wayne. The Hot Boys, including Juvenile, BG, and Turk, disbanded partly due to unpaid royalties, with members later discussing their grievances publicly. Tyga claimed he never received payments from the label and relied on live shows for income. Drake and Nicki Minaj were indirectly involved in Wayne's later lawsuits, with claims that Birdman used profits from their work to cover debts elsewhere. Leaked interrogation footage from Young Thug's case allegedly exposed Birdman via YSL Woody's statements. The footage circulated widely, adding legal weight to long-standing rumors about Birdman's business practices and personal associations. The pattern that emerges from these allegations is consistent. Artists signed to Cash Money report feeling controlled, underpaid, and unable to leave. The label's contracts allegedly contain terms that favored Birdman and Slim at the expense of the talent-generating revenue. When artists attempted to assert independence, whether through lawsuits, public statements, or simply refusing to record, they faced obstacles that extended their entanglement with the label. Birdman has consistently denied abusive or exploitative behavior, stressing the familial nature of his relationships with artists and crediting himself for their success. In interviews, he attributes misunderstandings to cultural differences and the rough New Orleans upbringing they shared. No criminal charges have resulted from the grooming or exploitation allegations, but the court of public opinion has rendered its own verdicts, and the leaked footage continues to supply evidence for those verdicts. The feud. The father-son narrative collapsed publicly on December 4th, 2014. Wayne took to Twitter, venting frustration over repeated delays to his album Thaw Carter 5th, which had been scheduled for release that month. He accused Cash Money Records of holding him prisoner and stifling his creativity. His exact words, "I want off this label and nothing to do with these people, but unfortunately, it ain't that easy. I am a prisoner, and so is my creativity." The accusation was devastating because it was specific. Wayne was not complaining about artistic differences or creative direction. He was claiming imprisonment. A man who had spent his entire adult life and much of his childhood under Birdman's guidance was publicly stating that the relationship had become a cage. By January 28, 2015, Wayne filed a $51 million lawsuit against Birdman and Cash Money, alleging breach of contract for withholding Thaw Carter 5th and mishandling finances. The suit claimed Cash Money had failed to pay advances, royalties, and profits from Wayne's music, as well as from Young Money artists like Drake and Nicki Minaj. Under a 2012 joint venture agreement, Wayne owned 49% of Young Money, while Birdman and Cash Money held 51%. Wayne alleged this arrangement had been violated repeatedly. The lawsuit sought more than money. Wayne wanted to void his contract entirely, gain joint copyright over Young Money releases, and recover what he claimed were unpaid funds totaling tens of millions of dollars. In a February 2015 Rolling Stone interview, Wayne confirmed he and Birdman were not speaking. He described the album as super done, but locked away like stash house money, completed, valuable, and inaccessible. The public battle escalated through 2015. Wayne released the mixtape Sorry For, The Wait 2 on January 20th, which included direct disses calling Birdman an ugly duckling and declaring himself a one-man army against Cash Money. At concerts throughout the year, Wayne led crowds in chants of Cash Money. He altered lyrics to align himself with rival labels like Roc Nation. The message was clear: the father-son relationship was over. Then came violence. On April 26, 2015, shots were fired at Wayne's tour bus in Atlanta after a performance at Compound nightclub. No one was injured. The incident involved multiple gunshots from a white Chevrolet Camaro. An indictment in July 2015 charged Jimmy Pee Wee Roscoe Winfrey, an associate of Young Thug, with 30 counts, including aggravated assault and conspiracy. Prosecutors alleged Winfrey contacted Young Thug multiple times before the shooting and called Birdman immediately after. Phone records and witness accounts suggested ties to the Cash Money dispute, with some claiming the violence stemmed from Birdman's side amid the contract beef. Winfrey was later convicted on lesser charges and sentenced to serve time after a plea deal. Birdman denied any involvement, calling the allegations the craziest shit I ever heard and insisting Wayne was still his son. No charges were ever filed against Birdman or Young Thug in connection with the shooting, but the incident transformed the dispute from a business disagreement into something potentially lethal. The legal battle continued through 2016 and 2017. In July 2015, Birdman countersued Jay-Z's title for $50 million over Wayne's Free Weezy album, claiming exclusive rights to Wayne's music. Settlement talks broke down in November 2016 after Wayne shouted out "Rock Nation" during a performance at Camp Flog Gnaw, prompting Birdman to halt negotiations. Wayne also sued Universal Music Group, Cash Money's distributor, for $40 million in royalties, alleging they had allowed Birdman to misuse funds. Court rulings in September 2016 forced Birdman to produce financial records related to $51 million in advances, dismissing Cash Money's claims of incomplete records. The ruling provided a glimpse into the label's financial operations and supported Wayne's allegations of mismanagement. The resolution came on June 7, 2018. Wayne reportedly received a settlement of well over $10 million, paid by Universal, not Birdman, along with release from Cash Money and control of Young Money. The Carter fee was cleared for release and dropped in September 2018, 4 years after its originally scheduled date. Birdman publicly apologized at Wayne's Lil Louisiana Fest in August 2018. They performed together for the first time in years. The gesture suggested reconciliation, but the scars of the feud remained visible in their subsequent interactions. The aftermath. The settlement in June 2018 concluded the legal war, but inaugurated a more complicated peace. Wayne walked away with over $10 million, his freedom from Cash Money, and control of Young Money Entertainment. The Carter V finally reached listeners in September 2018, 4 years after its originally scheduled release. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, validating Wayne's artistic vision and proving that the delay had not diminished public appetite for his work. But reconciliation proved more elusive than resolution. The public apology Birdman delivered at Wayne's Lil Louisiana Fest in August 2018 was carefully choreographed, a moment designed for cameras and crowd reaction. They performed together for the first time in years, embracing on stage while fans cheered. The imagery suggested healing. The reality was messier. Signs of warmth had appeared sporadically throughout the conflict. In January 2016, Wayne and Birdman reunited at Drake's New Year's Eve party, then were photographed hugging at a Miami club days later. These moments coexisted with active litigation, suggesting that personal affection and business hostility could occupy the same relationship simultaneously. The father-son bond, however damaged, had not been entirely severed. The years following the settlement revealed the limits of their reconciliation. Reports by late 2025 indicated Wayne was no longer signed to Cash Money after the prolonged legal battles. The formal business relationship that had defined both their careers for over 2 decades appeared to be finished. Whatever connection remained was personal rather than contractual, and even that connection showed signs of strain. Wayne's absences from Cash Money events became a recurring pattern. The 2025 Hot Boys reunion tour proceeded without him at key moments. The Cash Money vs. No Limit Versus battle in October 2025 celebrated the label's 30th anniversary, but Wayne was notably missing from the roster. Discussions from Hot Boys members, including Turk, suggested Wayne's reluctance to participate stemmed from group dynamics rather than direct beef with Birdman. The implication was subtle but significant. Wayne had moved on, even if he had not entirely moved away.
Say, Stunner, what you gotta say?
Hey man, like, I ain't gonna even lie, bro. Like, when I met Blood, you know, I just was trying to do something different in the game. I had started this young. I was a young man trying to get some money and not be in the streets. And I met BG, I met Wayne, I met Juvie, I met Turk. Shout out to Turk, you little bitch. You ain't here, but f you. We gon' f with you when we won't f with you. You heard me?
Don't go off script.
Hey, we gon' f with that bitch when we won't f with her. But that's another movie. But ain't no, you know, Cash Money. When one died, I ain't gonna say died, cause we lost a lot of soldiers. But Cash Money ain't built on you leave, you can't, we gon' still multiply.
Let's go.
Cash Money ain't gonna never die. As long as I'm alive, hold on, Fresh. Wait, Fresh.
Birdman's speech at the Versus event captured the contradictions of his position. He acknowledged the departures, we lost a lot of soldiers, while insisting on Cash Money's immortality. His public diss of Turk, calling him a little from the stage, demonstrated that old wounds remained open. The feud with Turk traced back to unpaid royalties and contract disputes from years earlier. Turk had sued Cash Money in 2015 for $1.3 million over royalties and lack of accounting. His exclusion from the Versus celebration was not accidental. coincidental. The Turk situation illustrated a broader pattern. Artists who left Cash Money, whether through legal action, expiring contracts, or mutual separation, often found themselves frozen out of reunion events and legacy celebrations. Birdman's message was consistent. Loyalty was rewarded, disloyalty was remembered. The problem was that many artists felt their disloyalty had been provoked by Birdman's own failures to honor financial commitments. Footage from the 2025 Hot Boys reunion tour showed Birdman appearing to fall asleep on stage mid-performance, with BG stepping over to wake him. The clip circulated widely, generating memes and expressions of concern. Some viewers interpreted it as evidence of declining health or energy. Others saw it as symbolic of Cash Money's fading relevance, a mogul literally sleeping through his own legacy event. The timing was not coincidental. Cash Money's 30th anniversary was supposed to be a victory lap, a celebration of survival and success in an industry that destroys most labels within a decade. Instead, it became an occasion for settling scores. Former affiliates, rivals, and anonymous sources released material designed to undermine the narrative Birdman hoped to promote. The NBA Youngboy situation compounded Birdman's troubles. Their relationship had soured, and Youngboy proved willing to weaponize content against his former associate. Multiple sources discussed Youngboy exposing Birdman, including leaked ritual footage and claims of being finessed financially. One video alleged Youngboy leaked new ritual content tied to their disputes. Additional clips and YouTube videos sustained the narrative across platforms. On X, footage showed Youngboy featuring Birdman in a robbery skit video, which viewers interpreted as mockery or deliberate exposure. The skit positioned Birdman as a victim rather than a boss, a reversal of the power dynamics he had cultivated throughout his career.
Me and my mother and I wouldn't got 1 trillion streams.
They wish they could.
1 trillion streams?
Birdman's response to mounting criticism relied on metrics, 1 trillion streams. The number was meant to silence doubters by demonstrating success at a scale that transcended individual controversies. The argument had surface validity. Cash Money's catalog had indeed generated massive streaming numbers, but streams do not address allegations of unpaid royalties, exploitative contracts, or personal misconduct. They measure popularity, not integrity. Birdman just got caught by ops on IG Live, showed footage of affiliates in distress, allegedly seeking help amid 2025 threats. Additional TikTok clips captured the same incident, spreading the narrative that Birdman's circle was under siege. A separate X post showed Birdman allegedly checking out men, framed as leaked personal footage that reignited long-standing rumors about his sexuality. Birdman has addressed these accusations throughout his career, dismissing them as jealousy or misunderstanding while describing himself as a straight gangster. Critics, including Trick Daddy, have publicly labeled him gay, accusations Birdman denied vehemently. The leaked footage brought these discussions back into public discourse. In October 2025, amid the swirl of leaked videos and renewed allegations, Wayne visited Birdman in the hospital. The circumstances of Birdman's hospitalization were not widely reported, but the visit itself generated significant attention. Observers interpreted it as evidence of genuine concern surviving their tumultuous history. They reportedly reminisced about old times and discussed potential new music together. The hospital visit suggested something important about their relationship. It could not be reduced to either pure affection or pure antagonism. Wayne had sued Birdman for $51 million. He had led crowds in chanting profanity against Cash Money. He had accused the man who raised him of holding him prisoner. And then he visited him in the hospital to talk about old times. The Super Bowl halftime show controversy in 2024-2025 created an unexpected moment of alignment. The NFL chose Kendrick Lamar over Lil Wayne for the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans, Wayne's hometown. Birdman joined Nicki Minaj and others in publicly criticizing the decision, positioning himself as an advocate for Wayne despite their complicated history. The gesture was notable because it required nothing contractual. Birdman gained nothing financially from defending Wayne's candidacy. He simply believed Wayne deserved the honor and said so publicly. The Reckoning. As of early 2026, Birdman's legacy exists in a state of contested interpretation. The leaked footage circulating across platforms presents one version of events, a once powerful figure now exposed, embarrassed, and under siege from former allies and rivals alike. His own statements present another version, a self-made mogul who built an empire, made mistakes, paid his debts, and remains unrepentant about his methods. Reports in early 2026 indicated that Birdman unexpectedly appeared at Wayne's New Year's Year's Eve party. The event was described variably as a wild reunion that shocked fans or a battlefield moment, fueling speculation about full reconciliation or lingering issues. The ambiguity was deliberate. Neither Birdman nor Wayne clarified the nature of their current relationship, leaving observers to interpret grainy footage and secondhand accounts. An Instagram post about their joint music video, That N***, included unreleased leaks directed at Birdman, suggesting that whatever reconciliation occurred was partial at best. The pattern of Birdman's controversies reveals a consistent structure. Artists sign young, work extensively, generate revenue, then discover that their contracts prevent them from benefiting proportionally. They complain privately, they complain publicly, they file lawsuits. Some settle, some leave. Some, like Lil Wayne, do both, and then return for complicated reunions that satisfy no one's desire for closure. In 2025, YouTube breakdowns and interviews, former affiliates and exposés revisited claims of shady deals. 2 Chainz mentioned Birdman demanding $100,000 for introductions. Others described a culture of loyalty enforced through dependence. Birdman addressed these critiques in April 2025 on Council Culture, saying artists blame him when careers stall, and that those who left Cash Money rarely succeeded independently. The argument has merit. Many artists who departed Cash Money struggled to replicate their success elsewhere. Whether this reflects Birdman's unique ability to develop talent, his control over industry connections, or simply the difficulty of building a second career after burning bridges with a major label remains a matter of perspective. Master P, whose No Limit Records faced Cash Money in the 2025 Versus, offered measured commentary on the dynamics. He respected Cash Money's hustle, but distanced himself from Birdman's circle, citing "all money ain't good money" and street alignments. The statement captured the ambivalence many in hip-hop feel toward Birdman, acknowledgement of his achievements, coupled with wariness about his methods. The volume of leaked footage in 2025 and 2026 suggests coordinated, or at least synchronized, efforts to damage Birdman's reputation. The timing coincided with Cash Money's 30th anniversary celebrations, ensuring maximum visibility for content designed to undermine the narrative Birdman hoped to promote. Whether this coordination involved former artists, rivals, or simply opportunists with access to embarrassing material remains unclear. What is clear is that the footage exists, it continues to circulate, and it shapes public perception of a figure who once seemed untouchable. Birdman built Cash Money into one of the most successful labels in hip-hop history. He signed and developed multiple artists who became superstars. He accumulated wealth that transformed a 14-year-old street millionaire into a legitimate entertainment mogul. And he did it through methods that generated lawsuits, feuds, allegations, and leaked footage exposing the human cost of his success. The footage will continue to surface, the allegations will continue to circulate, and Birdman will continue to defend a legacy that he built with other people's talent and other people's trust, some of which he earned, some of which he betrayed, and all of which remains subject to debate in an era when nothing stays. Private and everything eventually leaks. Found this information exciting and unbelievable? Be sure to check out other similar and amazing videos on the screen. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.